Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Ask the Nanny. Tonight we have some books, some stories, some little bit of sign language, little bit of this, little bit of that. Just a whole plethora of things. You know me when I get online. We start out in one thing and we end up in another thing. But we're gonna try to keep this thing uh, under control and in the pocket. And see, I'm looking for myself right now on Facebook so that I can share this with my groups. So if you are already watching, please share this with your groups, with your friends, with your nanny friends, because there's going to be some tips and things in here for everyone. So now, while I share this, I'm going to let my special guest, Miss Gina Marie, mhm, I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. And then by then, hopefully, I will have shared this to some other groups. But I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry, tongue deficiency tonight. I'm going to let her introduce herself to you. So it's gonna be one of those nights. We already laughing.
We
So it's
already.
gonna be one of those fun nights. So y'all add your 2 cents in and come on with
Tongue deficiency.
it. Okay. Yes. Yes. You
TD.
didn't know that existed, huh? Okay. Anyway, as you can tell, we have fun. We like to have fun.
That's what we do.
So I'm going to share this with some of my friends, and I'm going to let Miss Gina tell us a little bit about herself, what she does, her background, and give us a fun fact.
About me?
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about me.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any fun facts, but I will start by just saying yes, Gina Marie, also known as Nanny by Nature, is my handle on Instagram that I have for right now. Started off in the education field, so working with kids, elementary kids. That's where I started. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and then from there went into sign language, mainly just because I was being nosy. I was at a friend's house and she was going to school to be an interpreter in San Francisco. She was at Vista College. And while she was in school, she had all these videotapes. That's back when we used videotapes. And I was watching them and they were all of like her back.
Because I'm that old.
Yeah. It's this device that we would put into a machine to show things. And she wasn't, so it was like her tests to submit her tests to her teacher. She had to do them in sign language. And I was like, what's going on here? So just talked more about that with her when she came home and she told me what it was. I just became intrigued. Little did I know I was living in the DMV. Well, I knew I was living in the DMV area, but I didn't know what that meant, that I was in the area where the only deaf liberal arts university existed in the whole world, Gallaudet University. So came home and just went running with it. Like it was part of my religious organization. There was a branch that had sign language. So I got involved in that way. And I just went straight into the local college that taught interpreting. I didn't want to be an interpreter. I just wanted to know sign language so I could know what was going on. And I could talk about people with friends who all speak sign language and they not know.
I do the same.
Pretty much. I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, that's a fun fact. Okay, you know, I'm gonna be honest. It was so that you couldn't talk about me behind my back, but I could talk about yours. And then that just eventually led. So I was doing a lot of interpreting, went to Gallaudet University, worked for Gallaudet University as well. And then they ended up, because of my education background, I started interpreting more with student teachers. Students, deaf kids who were going to get their bachelor's or master's degree in teaching or education, I would go with them into the classroom to do their what we call student teaching. And they needed to do it in a mainstream classroom with hearing kids. So, of course, they needed an interpreter. So I was with them helping to facilitate communication between the kids and the teacher and the teacher and the kids. Well, the whole school. And so from there, it just like kind of like moved into me nannying because I was around kids all the time, always in the IEP meetings, always in just all different kinds of meetings that it came to do with dealing with kids. And I just became so engrossed with the development of children that just kind of like led me into being a nanny because I got to work with kids more in a one-on-one versus in a classroom. And I got to see that development within them on a more personal level. And that's a part that I really enjoyed about working with kids. And I get to incorporate my sign language in working with these kids of all different kids who are deaf, kids who are hearing, either one. And so that's why I enjoy nannying so much because I get to work with kids in their home on a personal level. But I still do interpret as a profession too, from time to time. I feel like I said too much. That's it. Y'all got the background.
Okay, so we have some people watching that are saying hello. Hello, Tasha. How are you? Hello, Adrian. How are you? Hadn't seen you in a while. Hello, Lucretia. How are you?
Hello, and good evening where you are, Lucretia.
She's right here with me.
Oh, Texas.
Yes. Hey, y'all. Hey, girl. Hey, Shannon.
Shannon.
And hello, Carla. How are you?
Like that, Barrera.
Tasha says hello again with a smiley face. Okay.
Also
So tonight we're going to be talking about literacy because I am a baby sign language instructor. Now that's totally different. Totally. Okay. So the baby sign language instructor, you have to know at least 100 words.
Right.
So I know about, well, I used to know about 700 of them.
Oh, wow.
But you know, they say if you don't use it, you lose it. So I noticed that as I'm talking to my little one today, and she's all her fingers, she's 3 months old and she's all into the fingers and looking at them and what's going on. So I'm showing her milk and she's going,
oh, good.
I said, yes, milk. And then I said, are you ready to go? And she's like, I said,
ready, go.
I was like, she's like, and then I said, oh, you are. I said, you ready to eat? And she's like, I was like, yes. I said, do you want your milk? And she's like,
oh.
And then she started going like this. I was like, jackpot, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, hold on. I know that word.
I feel it.
Let me get my fingers fluid. But she has these long fingers. Ooh. So it's so funny watching her because it's like, and then when she's trying to hold a bottle. So you know, she flips the bird when she's holding the bottle. The only finger. I was like,
that's like
why do babies always do this? It's
that's like that finger is just stronger for all of us. It's even now that's one of your strongest fingers on your hand. That's why that's the one they use because it goes up.
I was like,
so easily.
Really? Her dad sent me a picture over the weekend. He says, I was late on her milk. And this is what I got in return.
There you go.
So when he sent that picture, I couldn't help but crack up. I was like,
so next time.
Yeah, she got you. But how when you use sign language, when you interpret, I had this question asked to me with the kids at the park. Is he deaf? Have you ever gotten that question?
all the time. It's so funny because, and I understand, because if you're not in that community or in that circle or in that field, you just don't know. And sometimes they will group challenges that people have all together. Are you deaf? Kids in school, when they see me signing, they're like, are you deaf? And they don't put two and two together, like, I'm hearing you and signing it, so I'm not deaf. I also get, do you read Braille? I don't.
Oh, no.
Don't. I mean, I think it's
Because you're deaf and dumb.
I think it is great. Braille, I think, is an amazing. I know a lot of not deaf. Listen to me, I sound like them. Blind, and a lot of deaf blind people who that's how they read with Braille. I think it's an amazing system.
Yes, it is.
Get that, but I don't read Braille because I do sign language interpreter.
Do they yell at you because they think you can't hear?
They speak louder. People will speak louder, and they will also speak very slowly.
I'm just saying, because these are the questions that I get. Lucretia, my baby, is 3 months old.
Oh.
Yeah, she's 3 months old, and I've been doing sign language with her since she was born. Although the first month she couldn't see me because it was dark in her room. I was a new care specialist.
That's right.
So now I work during the day, so now she can see me, and so we're working on it. But yeah,
great.
So when you work, I saw you in action with Nanny Miss Monique. And I love. If you all are not watching Nanny Miss Monique on Instagram, her story time, oh my gosh. I saw you on there. And what is your friend's name that was on there with you?
Oh, was it my story time, or was it Nanny Miss Monique's? Because I did it where I read and my friend Mia signed.
No, it was Nanny Miss Monique's. There was Nanny Miss Monique. Wait a minute. Nanny Miss Monique was on there, and you were on. Am I confusing two different story times?
That's because I did a story time where I actually read a book, and my sister, she's my roommate, but we're like sisters. She interpreted. Her grandmother was deaf. So she's been signing her whole life. So usually when the two of us work together, I am the reader. Like, I love to read. So even though I can sign too, but I will read and she does the signing.
Okay. Then I must be putting the two together, story times together. But anyway, your story time, her story time, all the story times.
All the story times.
It was awesome.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And I was just like, I gotta talk to her. I gotta talk to her. I gotta get her on the show, because it's like I can just see people, and it's like this sense of discernment is like, yeah, her. Now I have a question, because we talked about this.
Sure.
And you were telling me in the deaf community that most people have the literacy, I think is around 4th grade.
So that's what happened in the deaf community. You have a very high percentage of deaf adults who don't read past the 4th grade level, because a lot of it is some of the same reasons why you have hearing kids who don't, because we have the statistics here is about, well, in America, the average American reads on the 7th, 8th grade level. And I think it's like 1 in 4 Americans won't learn how to read. It's approaching, you know what I mean? It's the approach to reading in the educational system. Not their fault, because it's a difficult skill to teach. Not all their fault, I should say. So then you have the same thing in the deaf community, because here with our language, English is based on phonics. So really difficult to teach kids who don't have the hearing. And deaf has such a broad spectrum of what that means, deaf. You could have somebody who can hear one-on-one, they can hear your words, but they can't hear background noise with a hearing aid. Or you can have someone who can hear background noise, and then that's all they can hear, or they can hear like a siren. So it's such a far range of what that means when they definitely deaf and hard of hearing. And then I also worked in a deaf school when I was living in New York, Lexington School for the Deaf. So I worked there for about 5 years or so in the high school. In the high school level, I was the assistant to the principal there and her interpreter. And that was just something that you faced on a daily basis on what was the best approach to teach deaf kids how to read. And one of the biggest problems within the deaf community, as far as like education, is one of the same things that it goes for in the general population with hearing kids. There's a problem with illiteracy, but there's also a big problem with alliteracy, knowing how to read but having no interest in it. So reading sometimes is just presented as something that's just so. It's like a means to an end, but not something as can be enjoyable and just open up your entire world. There's so many things you can do with reading that kids generally don't realize what comes with that. I just call it such a beautiful gift. Knowing how to read is such a gift. So that's one of my basic things. One of my things that I really am on. I harp on a lot because because it's close to my heart being in the deaf community, and with deaf adults not being on that reading level. But it all starts back with education. And part of that comes from parents. A lot of times parents, well, it's better now, but a lot of times parents don't recognize that their child is deaf or going deaf until a few years, until they're being on earth, right? That's one of the biggest things. And we know 0 to 5 are those crucial years.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Crucial years.
That's why I am such an advocate for early literacy. I don't know if you know Toya Windsor. About 3 years ago, the whole summer long, we read. Her and I sponsored a early literacy book reading. I would get the books and read them and post them on YouTube, and they're still on there. And now, when the school shut down, all of a sudden, my viewership went through the window. I was like, what the heck just happened? And I realized they're reading the books. They're listening to the books.
100%.
They're listening to the books. And I was like, wow. So I started reading more books. I started putting more books on there because it's like 95 books on my
excellent.
But there are new authors that have come out since then. So great. I'm just like, okay, I need these to come on and get some new authors out there. But most people love. I have favorite books that are from my kids' childhood, and some of them are from my childhood. Man, the first time I read Charlotte's Web, and the pig died. Lord Jesus,
that I can't even.
I was like, Wilbur.
That's Charlotte's Web is a hard one. With my my little girl that I nanny for right now, she's 5, but because of her situation and being a child that has an illness that she faced with, they tend to be more mature because they have to deal with a whole lot with their illness and doctor's visits, and so they tend to be more mature as far as the awareness of what's going on around them and the kind of conversations that they're privy to. So, and knowing that and observing that about her, I was like the young readers to her were just funny, but not really. They didn't get her attention.
They didn't do anything for her.
So I read her one of my favorites. We read a chapter book together, and we read Because of Winn-Dixie. Loved it. She loved that book. I enjoyed rereading it with her, and then the prize at the end of it is that we got to watch the movie. If we could get through the chapter book, we watched the movie together. And we celebrated, and we had I can't think of the name of the punch, but I know it's orange juice and grapefruit juice. I can't remember the punch, the name of it in the book. And we had the same thing in the party in the book. We had those same things at our reading party Because of Winn-Dixie. And she absolutely flipped out over it, and her mother couldn't believe it. She was like, I wouldn't even have thought that she would have enjoyed a book like that, much less, you know what I mean? What she loved
Watching the movie.
watching the movie. And then so watching the movie, she felt so proud of herself because she knew each character even before their name was mentioned, because of their characteristics, because of what they look like. Because the book gives you all the details, which I love about books. You get all these details, and she was like, "Oh, that's Opal. Oh, we know that's Winn Dixie. Oh, this," and it was just so much fun for me to see
Yes.
her with
The
that.
story comes to life
Oh my
on the
goodness!
screen. Yes, yes. That is awesome. I love the fact that um you can get books, and I used to um go down to the like from Lowe's or from what's the other place? Home Depot or
Mm-hmm.
to Sears where they
Mm-hmm.
sold appliances. And I used to get the big boxes, the refrigerator boxes, and bring them home. And because I had a home daycare, and I had the kids to go inside and decorate it. And then I would cut out some little squares for windows. And
Oh,
we took the crayons and the markers, and we just went inside and we did, and it was became our little reading nook. And so we would go in there, and of course you could just imagine me crawling in there, and the boxes on top of my head like this. And they like down here. I'm like, okay, today we're gonna read. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to keep the kids uh engaged and keep them reading. And I would make funny noises, or I would give them voices. And sometimes, the next time that character came into play, he didn't have the same voice that he had at the beginning because
right. But listen, you just
what
know you did a
I
different
forgot
voice.
what voice I gave them, but it would keep them engaged, and they would always want story time.
Of course. Of course. Kids love to see that. They can see an adult, because usually they see adults not being silly. So if they see an adult being silly, because that to them, that shows to them, wait, this must be so important. This
Mhm.
must be something that she really thinks that I should be a part of. And that's what you do. You draw them into the story. That's how movies get us. They get kids and they get us through trailers. They show
Right,
those small little pieces, and you're like, I want to see the whole movie. Well, if they see you drawing them into the story by these voices and moving with the characters, TV captures the imagination, is true, but it doesn't, like, I love this quote that this one doctor said. He said, TV captures the imagination but does not liberate it. A good book at once stimulates and frees the mind. So
yeah,
kids, you open up their imagination when you read the books in the way that you do with the box. It just makes reading enjoyable, and then that's what makes them want to do it more and
right.
more. But if you just sitting down just reading the book, and then who wants that? Not me.
The dog's name was Tom. Tom had a bone.
Mhm.
The bone was white. Who wants to listen to that?
No
If
one.
you're like, oh, look, there's a dog. What do you think his name is?
Hmm.
Ask questions.
Hmm.
Uh, let them picture read.
Exactly. I
I
love
I love watching Mitch's and her Spanish story time because I have no clue what she's saying, but I can look at the pictures and get a clue as to what's going on in the story.
100%.
So I would take my and the people at Walmart used to call me the baby lady because I had a home daycare, and during the day I had 4 kids. We would go to Walmart and we would go grocery shopping. And if
Love
fruit
that.
was not in season, we would go to the canned goods. Okay, I need 4 cans of peaches. I need the ones in the green can. Now, what do you think they're learning?
Every colors, they're looking out for pictures. So many things. You
Yeah,
put math in there.
yes.
Oh,
And I'm like, and everybody grabs a can. Somebody grabs 2. Okay, we're gonna everybody gets a chance to put one in the basket until we get to 4.
Uh,
Okay, so the person that I let the one that had the two kids go last because I wanted to. Okay, and of course, by the time we made it home, we had dented cans, but I didn't care
wow,
because I
amazing.
know who did them. So we put the cans into the basket and they count them.
Right.
Green can. Okay, is that a green can? What color is that can? Yellow. You got the wrong one. So
I
they're
love
helping
that.
each other figure it out, critical thinking.
Hmm.
It was, I mean, when I went to the grocery store, we would stay there. I would go at 9 in the morning and I would already have lunch ready. So by the time we got back out of the grocery store, we could go and we could have lunch. But I need 3 bananas. Everybody grabs a banana. Okay, so how many do I say? Did I say 3? What color is the banana? Yellow. What letter does banana start with?
Oh,
B. So I take those unconventional teachable moments, but that's learning to read. That's putting those those brain stem cells or whatever they call it to
no,
work so
it is.
that you can put together. If I see a banana in real life and I see a banana in a book,
And I know it starts with B.
I know it starts with B.
I'm gonna look
And
for it.
and yeah, they're looking for, oh, that's a banana. We have some of those. They
Mhm.
can relate. And anything that a child can relate to personally, they're more interested in doing. So
100.
I took the learning from the grocery store, the learning from whatever we were doing. I would always find a way to create a learning moment. My mom and dad were both teachers. My mom was a kindergarten teacher. She taught my boys to read at the age of 4. All
Mhm.
three of them are reading at the age of 4. But what you said was when kids cannot hear, it
Mhm.
takes a lot of weight. My youngest son could not hear for the first year of his life
Mm.
because he was born with fluid on his ears.
Well,
The left
okay.
one worse than the right one. And the doctor told me it was like listening to somebody talk to you underwater. So what he heard was, so when he started talking,
So
he
he
was a
got
year old and wasn't babbling. You know how babies just babble
that.
because he couldn't hear himself.
Mm.
He couldn't. I guess you could hear your
Had
voice
that
inside of
auditory
your
response.
head, but
Yeah.
it's not a audible
Right.
voice. And because of that, he ended up with dyslexia.
Okay. That makes
'Cause
sense.
and I didn't understand what dyslexia was until my son got it. You know, you don't understand stuff until you have to
Yeah.
research it and get all down off into the. I know all about the
Right.
eardrum, how
Yeah.
it works. Don't stick the cotton swab in there because it gets stuck off it. I know about the eardrum.
Stick
And
your
when I
elbows in your
see
knees and your ears. That's the only thing that goes into your ears, elbows and knees. Because they can't fit. That's what my doctor says. She said,
right.
you put your ears or your elbows or your knees. And I'm like, what? They don't fit. She's like, exactly. Don't put anything else in your ear.
Yes. So he ended up having, and I realized dyslexia is not just about turning your letters and numbers backwards, it's about comprehension. And because you can't hear the first year of your life, you see what's going on, but you don't fully comprehend why it's going on.
Right.
You just know that mama said, mama's taking me here, mama's doing that. When he got those tubes in his ears at a year old, oh my God, I
Oh,
thought I was going to lose my mind because all of a sudden he was like, ah! And I'm like, oh, something wrong with my baby. Oh my God,
here.
tube, tube.
Yeah.
And then I get there, he like, he. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So I leave back. He got me like 4 times. And then I realized you're playing with a new toy,
Yeah.
your voice,
Yep.
and you can finally hear. And he caught on to talking because he had 2 other brothers. He
Yeah.
caught on to the talking fairly quick.
Of course.
But right around the 4th grade, we noticed that he was turning dyslexia. It wasn't always. Some of his letters turned backwards. Because, I figured past the 2nd or 3rd grade,
Yeah.
he was in the 4th grade. They tested him.
Mm-hmm.
And because my mom taught him how to read at the age of 4, he could call words all day long.
Uh-huh.
But you tell him, you read this, and all of a sudden, a paragraph about the dog is Spot. Spot had a bone. Spot did this and Spot did this. Okay, what's the name of the dog? And he's reading through trying to find the dog's name. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't see the dog name. And I'm thinking to myself, the dog name right there. What you reading for? I did not know what was going on in his head. I would tell him, go upstairs, bring your laundry down, and then go finish cleaning up the kitchen.
Right.
He'd go upstairs, roam around in circles about 5 minutes, and come back down and say, Mom, what did you tell me to do?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Very typical.
what do you mean? What do you mean? You hadn't done your laundry yet? And I'm fussing at him because I'm thinking, and then I made the big mistake because I had a home daycare. Do I need to treat you like I treat my 2-year-olds? Do I need to tell you step by step like I do my 2-year-olds? Ooh, I had a good time one day over that one.
I'm sure. You just don't know. Because sometimes
I
things
didn't
come off
know.
as like it feels like they're ignoring you, or it seems like there's just obstinate. Like it comes off as all those things because they don't know.
Yes.
They honestly don't know.
They have no clue what's going on. They just know that they're confused. Everything up here is jumbled. And so when I in the fourth, they have the standardized tests.
Right.
And the test results came in from fourth grade. Test came in. So I'm reading through. He passed it all. But the reading was 99. The comprehension was 70. The rules of how they grade it says that if there's a greater difference of 15 points between the reading and the comprehension, something is wrong. I said, well, you got double at 15. Something is definitely wrong. So I take it to the school and they said, well, he passed. No, he didn't.
Something else.
I said, he passed this section because he got 70%. He passed the reading because he got 99%. I said, but on your test scorings, the way you score the test, something is wrong with him. We need some help. I had to fight the school system because the test cost $900 and they didn't want to pay $900. And I was like, okay. So I did what my mama taught me, become a rattling wheel.
Squeaky wheel always gets the oil.
So when I went squeak, 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 poor little tink tink was thinking along. I was like, and we got the test done.
Good.
And the test came back the same. It was a greater distance when he took the test the second time.
Wow.
And we went to the doctor and they did the test. They did some other tests to find out that he was dyslexic. And he did not learn his multiplication tables. You learn in third, fourth grade. He was seventh grade when he finally learned.
Yeah.
So it's a journey that you take, and being able to read and being able to comprehend
what you read.
What you are reading is two different things. And I think that's why I am so passionate now about early literacy, because my child could read all day long, but comprehending was totally different. I've had 3 or 4 children in my care that had swollen tonsils that
wow.
I was like, I don't understand this child. He's 2.5 years old. Oh, he says so. I was like,
how you know
that? So I told her, I said, and he used to scarf all of his food down.
Wow.
And I'm like, you need to chew, 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 chew. And one day he fell asleep on the mat because my home daycare, all the babies go to sleep. And he kept going.
Oh.
And I was like, free, boy.
Yeah, no, not on my watch.
Okay. So I called his mom. I said, you need to take him to the doctor. But they said nothing's wrong with him. I said, take him to the children's hospital. Your child has something wrong with his throat. I think it's his tonsils. I know I'm not supposed to what kind of dyslexia does your son have? Uh,
Mm.
the he is not the okay. He has his form of dyslexia. His has to deal with comprehension, not necessarily with the reading.
Excellent.
And it's like when you're reading across the page, you can see it and it comes here and it comes right back out your ears.
Mhm.
It doesn't stick in between. That's the problem he was having, was the sticking in between, because when he read, you and I understand exactly what it said. When
Mhm.
he read it, he was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah.
So he would have to read it 3 or 4 times and break the sentences down, break the words down, see what the sentence says, and that's why he after 4th grade, he did not like reading anymore.
And that's when it happens, fourth grade.
Yep.
Fourth grade is that
It's that magic number.
magic number. I was gonna say that's the magic number. Fourth grade is when that all those skills have to start to come into play. They have
Mhm.
more complex characters in the readings that they give them. There's more standardized testing.
Right.
Is there too, and so that's where a lot of kids. It's
It's hard.
right. It's hard. Fourth grade is a hard. I always say when I work in the school system that fourth and fifth grade are way harder than high school. That's
Yes.
when kids really struggle. Fourth, fifth, and then that middle school is really, really tough
Yeah.
time for kids. And then by the time you get to high school, but if he's so fortunate to have had you, because so many kids don't have those a parent like that in their life. But if those skills are not attacked and addressed and adjusted and worked on fourth, fifth, sixth, high school, forget it.
Yeah, because then it's peer pressure. I
Yeah,
mean, it's peer pressure at 4th grade,
for
but
sure.
when you get to it's like, oh man, and then you trying to find the girlfriend, you go out with the smart girls, not because you like them, but
No,
I
do
need
your
some help with
homework.
homework. Yeah,
Do
do
your
the
homework.
homework for me. Write the paper for me, write the essay for me. Yeah, you passing. And they ended up passing my son to the next grade because the school that he was at, they were poor on resources in what he needed.
Okay.
So they passed him on to the next grade, but he had to repeat that grade because he was not up to that level. So, and I think that did him so much good because it gave him extra time to figure out. The only thing he did not like, he said, "Mama, they put me in the class with the crazy kids. I'm
Uh,
not crazy."
I don't like that either. How they all the kids pretty soon all kids are gonna be mainstream in one class.
Right.
That's what they're going to do. That's what they're because they're closing down a lot of the deaf schools around the country. They're closing them, mainstreaming those kids into the classroom. Um, there's pros and cons to that. On the one hand, let's see with your son, he didn't have anyone like him in his class.
No, the thing about it is he
So
was in special education. Because of his dyslexia, they put him in a special education class. And when you put him in a special education class, there are children there who have
all
Down
different kinds of
syndrome, or
children. Oh,
it's a class, it's a mixture of whatever in there. And he felt uncomfortable in there because he said, "I'm not stupid." And I said, "No, of course you aren't."
and they
But
and the school should have approached that differently. You know, hindsight is 2020, but that's why they have a lot of the push-ins now. Teachers who come in, they're push-ins.
hi Rose, how are you? Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Rose. They come
And
into the classroom and sit with that child that they know has it and work with them. You have that.
mhm,
That's what you need a push in, because
but that
sometimes you take them out and they're so much more focused on what's different about me, what problem do I have, that they don't even get to focus on trying to get better
right,
behaviors that they need.
right.
That's a
Yeah, it was hard. But
problem
that same child that the doctor told me, well, he'll probably be at your table for the rest of his life. That same child now has 3 degrees.
because he had a good mom. He had somebody who cared about him.
I was not I always believe in my children. I always tell them to go for it. And my thing is I don't care what you do as long as you are a productive citizen.
Hmm.
That's that's my main goal. I didn't push my child. You need to be a doctor. You need to be a lawyer. You need to. I did push them because I know you can do better than this.
Right.
I
Expectation.
know. I know you can do better than this.
Mhm.
That is what I pushed
Of course.
because I know this was a lazy thing. My oldest son, I pushed him the hard. I think I pushed him the hardest. Because he was just, it was like it just came to him. It was like, okay, I don't
So
need to read this. I don't need to read that. I mean, you roll out of bed almost late for your ACT score, ACT skip, blah,
yeah.
ACT test, and you roll out of bed. You haven't opened a book, you haven't studied, but you make a 32 out of 36 on the first try.
Yeah. To
I
some
took
people,
that test 3 times. Three.
that was a
Trying to
get.
get a score better.
But then you just some people have it like that. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah, I was like, I skipped that gene must have skipped me. But I will admit, I have anxiety over tests.
same here.
I
Same.
probably could have done better, but I have anxiety when it comes to tests.
Which is why it's
And if you sit down and talk to me, oh, I could tell you all day long. But put it
absolutely
on the test and I'm like, did I read that right?
or
Is that
timing.
right?
Okay,
Yes.
pressure, or that I need to get a certain score in order for things to go well.
Mhm. All of that. Now, if it's an untimed test and it's online, something that I could,
Yeah,
oh, I could write you an essay on every last one of those questions.
100%. I'm
But
still with you.
yeah, I took the time, and if you all are listening, please, the nanny kids that you take care of. I know sometimes parents are in denial,
Yeah,
but notice the little things.
for sure.
Because it's the little things that could save your child from a whole world of hurt, a whole world of trouble, a whole world of everything. Those little things that I noticed.
For sure.
And I talked to his teacher because his teacher, his fourth grade teacher,
Uh-huh.
her and I, oh my gosh, we were on the same page. And
Oh, good.
she loved my child. I was like, thank you, Jesus, she loved my
That's
child.
what you want.
But she was the one, because I was noticing it. And then she sent me a note home and she says, can we talk? And I'm like, oh Lord, what my baby do?
What you do
You know,
now?
when the teacher talk, when the teacher asks you for a conference, you're like, oh Lord, what they do, what they do, what they do. But she talked to me and she said, I noticed it. I said, I've noticed it too. I
Mm,
said, and I thought it was just me. I said, but I've noticed these things. And she said, I think we should get him tested. I said, I think so too.
I
So
love that.
that's where it started. And when they started giving me a pushback, I didn't add her name to anything.
Good.
Now they asked her questions, and because she was his teacher, but I didn't say, "Well, his teacher said." His teacher,
No.
no, this is my child.
Mhm. What I
His,
want for
te- his teacher has a responsibility to him to teach him
him.
the
Mhm.
fourth grade material. But what I need for you all to do is
Right.
to give him the test that says, I either do have a problem or I don't have a problem, so we can address it and move on. And now that he's, got his master's degree and he's a what is Micah? He's a student advisor at one
Ooh.
of the colleges
Oh,
here.
that's great.
And it's like it came back full circle.
Yeah. So he'll be such a
I
great.
just and he'll be able to and I know that he'll be able to share his story with kids that come in there and say that have special needs, that need help, special help. He'll be able to share his story, help them to get the help that they need.
Exactly.
And and that's why I was like, God put you in that position because he knew this was coming and
Mhm.
to help other kids that are just like you get over the hurdle, get over the hump, and do what you need to do.
I
That's it.
love that
So it is just, I've always taught my kids, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's what my mom used to say that all
all the
the
time. Oh,
time.
I have. Can I for 1 minute? Can I step out for 1 minute?
Yes,
I'm sure you can entertain without me. You know.
yes, of course. I can
What?
entertain. How y'all doing? But having Gina here is excellent because I'm learning about. We were talking about literacy, and she does a story time. If you are interested, she does a story time on Instagram. That is, she reads the story, and her roommate does the sign language, and kids are learning sign language as they read. I used to have a play group where it was called Tot Talk Playgroup. And I called it Tot Talk because toddlers can't express um, everything that they're feeling, everything that they want to say. But if you give them a way of communicating, which is sign language, which is one of the reasons why I became a sign language instructor, baby, put it at, a baby sign language instructor, not a sign language instructor, a baby sign language instructor. One of the reasons I became a baby sign language instructor was because of the problems that I had with my son when he could not hear. And the doctor suggested I teach him sign language. Well, he learned about 5 signs, and then we got the tubes, and the signs went out the door. Then, when I went to do my student teaching, I went through instead of teaching in a classroom, I taught in a speech and motor clinic there on campus where they had about 75 kids that had either speech or motor problems. Some of them were on walkers, some of them were had feeding tubes.
Oh,
It
wow.
was different, and they had different stages of um, abilities. I put it like
Okay.
that. And because my minor was in special education,
Okay.
I felt that this was the best way to go. Well, that was until they placed me with a child who had who could hear but couldn't speak.
Yeah. You need something like
And
that.
they placed me with him, and they's like, "Okay, Miss Johnson, this one is yours." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I remember his little name. His name was Tyrone. And I'm
Oh,
like, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, "Mhm."
what you
I
what you call me?
was like, "I know this. I know this. I know this." I didn't even know water. I didn't even know that. All I knew was this and thank you.
That's it.
Milk, thank you, please, and eat. That
Okay.
was it. That was what I taught my son. I was like,
He was
"Oh,
about how old?
hmm?"
He was about how old, Tyrone? He was 5.
He
Wow.
was 5. So he could hear, but he didn't speak. So he had been taking sign language. And kids sign according to what they think it looks like.
Mhm.
As a baby sign language instructor, this is more.
Mhm.
But I had a child when he get nervous, he was like 3 years old. When he really, really wanted something, please,
Yeah.
please. That was his sign for more.
Yeah,
Please,
a lot of kids did because the motor
I'm
skills are
hungry. I'm hungry, please. And I was like, you signing more. And his mom said, why does he keep doing this? I said, that's his sign for more. He learned that as an infant. And he's been doing it ever since then.
yeah.
So if I didn't know how kids sign, and I didn't at that time, I
Like
was just like,
what?
why you giving this child? I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. He can hear you, but I don't know what he's saying to me. So I'm like, show me, show me, show me, show me. The
Oh,
first 3 weeks, show me, show me. And then I signed up. I said, I need a continuing education in American Sign Language. So I took 3 courses, the
what
ASL
did
1, 2, and
did
3.
his parents sign? Do you know if his parents signed?
I don't know because the kids
Okay.
were, I never got to meet the parents.
Okay. I was
The
just curious.
parents were some of the kids were bussed in
Okay.
because they were a Saturday clinic. Some of the kids were bussed in, and some of the kids, the parents came, but the parent had parenting classes while the kids were in there while we were doing things with the kids.
Got it.
So I never got to meet his parents.
Okay.
But I do know I started learning ASL. He was teaching me, and I got in the class. So when he started signing, I'm like, okay, I know that word, and I know that word. and I know that word. I said, oh, you need to go to the bathroom. Come on, let's go.
No, and it's so interesting with that. I've had students that even at the university who it's a deaf university, but they have kids of who even hearing take classes at times. But there's a student who could not speak, but she could hear. So her language, her communication with sign language, and for me it was always like hard because she's signing to me, and so my inclination is to sign back to her, which I could because she understood sign language, but she would always sign to me, you can just speak, you can just talk, and I'm like, no, I can't actually, because
It's not in my brain. If I'm signing, you can't hear.
you signing to me, I know you can hear, but it just doesn't. But it is interesting. I'm glad his parents took that route for him to have sign language. As a way of being able to communicate because he couldn't speak. Because sometimes they wouldn't connect it. They think sign language connected with deafness, but if you can't speak, you're gonna need to be able to sign to be able to. That's amazing. That's great. That's great. I mean, it's just for all kids, and especially in the area that we live in. I'm always so disappointed that they don't offer more free classes for sign language, especially in the community where Gallaudet University is. They should have more free sign language courses because then that's how you build your community outside of this small group, and then you open it up because you have more people that are able to communicate with you through this language. And with babies, it helps it connects so many things with kids. It helps them, and this. There's less crying, less frustration. They're able to communicate what they want a little bit easier. There's a lot of times, kids don't speak and usually till about 12 months. But when they can incorporate the sign language, they'll get right into the speaking in sentences. Sometimes I think, well, if you do sign language, it'll hold them back from speaking. It does. Language is language, and the brain connects it. Our brains are marvelously made. So the brain connects it with that. They understand if this is milk, because you have babies at 3 months that will eventually know that this is milk, and they hear you saying the word milk. So when it's time, when the voice is ready to say it, they will say milk because they already know that it's connected to that. So the brain already has it registered there. Fine motor skills. They get the fine motor skills.
Fine motor they are, especially the little boys. I have learned that by having little boys, but I work with my little boys because boys will just push a truck. Little girls are busy putting buttons and bows and braiding hair and combing hair. They're using their fine motor skills more than little boys, even when they're building blocks.
Yes.
I make the boys, I'm like, take them apart and put them in the bucket. No, yes, take them apart. And I don't mean knock them over in that. Nope, take them apart one by one because I want to strengthen. Because most of those Lego blocks, you really have to pull to
and
get
the
them
muscles
apart.
in
Work those muscles to do what they need to do. But language, the language acquisition that it takes to read, that language acquisition, you start that when you start reading to a child when they're young. A picture book gives 1,000 words. 1,000 words. A picture book. I have one right here. Elemental Peas. One of my kids' favorite books. Elemental Peas. What's the C say? What's the B say? Elemental Peas.
I love it. I mean, I encourage mothers who are pregnant to read to their children, play music to their children, even
I do.
Because it starts even then. They can hear from in there. But like with the child that I work with now, we have books that she can't read, and that's a lot connected to what she does, connected to the condition that she has. So reading is going to take some time. So, but she can memorize every word that any book that I read to her, she memorizes it like that. But what I want her to do, I'll have her open up a book that has pictures. And I said, you tell me, I'm going to fold up the laundry. You tell me the story. You read the pictures to me. And at first she was like, what? I don't. She was telling the story that she knew that she had memorized in her head.
Mhm.
But when I said to read that, I said, I don't want you to tell me what you know about the story. Tell me what you see in that picture and read that. Then that opened up a whole different space in her brain where
Yes.
she had to focus on the picture and actually read. Because, like you said, when you're looking at a picture, you're reading what's happening there.
Right.
You're seeing the details. You're seeing what's element of peas. You're seeing that there's peas sitting on the top. Are they in the top or in the bottom? Are they in the middle or
Mhm.
are they on the side? All of those details are in those pictures. So if they can get that brain, that part of that brain moving for that, when reading will not be something that they think that they can do, but something that they will enjoy.
Now see, I like this picture right here
I love that.
because it's you for underwater. They got somebody well, okay, the mirror. They got the pea diving into the water. They
Love
got like little fish peas with the goggles on there, and they got little jellyfish. Let me hold that up close.
so cute. I
This
love that.
opens a child's imagination.
Hmm.
It just and this one in the top, it looks like he in a jacuzzi.
I know he's laid out. Yeah, he's
But
like,
and then this one. Hold on. This thing is
I love that too.
mirror effect.
I
It
know.
has all these pictures in here. Okay, where am I? Okay. Like
Tomato.
the trucks and the tomato, all these tea things. When I taught preschool and we were learning our alphabet, I would send on Friday. I was like, okay, this is your homework. I said, find some J words. When you come back, find some J words because next week our letter is J. I'll tell the parents find some J words because we would go in what we call the great room when it
Mhm.
was cold outside. And this is when I lived in Washington D.C. Uh, we would find some. I said, okay, I need you to find some J words. Let them know what. Okay, so J is for what, and I
Mhm.
would point to the ones that I knew were going to be aggressive. I would point to them first, and so they could go play.
Okay.
And I would because I knew it was going to be a challenge for them to sit still.
Yeah. Let
So
me give you my J word so I can go.
right, and I knew they came in Monday morning ready for their J word.
Okay.
And my smarter children,
Mhm.
the ones that I knew that, they'll find them on their own.
Yeah.
I put them last because they were the ones that were the calm ones, and they didn't mind. They knew everybody's going to have a turn, but I made it look like I was going around the room and I was
Yeah.
picking certain people, and I was like, okay, who's going to be next? Who's going to be next? Who's going to be next? And then and they would come up with these words,
Mhm.
and I would, and then once they came up with the words, a few weeks later, I was like, okay, I made them animate the words. Okay, so you came up with jump. Okay, let me see the J jump. And so they would jump. And one of them said Jello. I said, "Ooh, Jello. What does Jello do?" And one little girl said, "Jello's got the jiggles." So you get to go too because you came up with the word jiggle.
Ready. You came
So
ready, the little jiggling
it's
jello.
bringing words to life.
Yeah.
It's bringing imagination. Okay, not my glasses.
But they
I'm
are
gonna dump
like
it right off my face.
they are, but what you said, they are like words are life. In our everyday living, we're surrounded by words, and we get from one place to another by words and being able to read and having that comprehension. When you don't have it, it's so limiting in this world, and you're so closed in, which leads to frustration, depression, just
Mhm.
not having any kind of quality of life simply because you can't have a skill that's something that could have been taught at zero. It's never too early. It's never too early to start incorporating that skill into
Right.
children. Read to them. The biggest thing now with, I know in a lot of the classrooms, well, here in the DC area, I will say, is that I remember back where I come from, and I'm from Baltimore, but how they did it in school with us is that reading was such a terrifying thing if you weren't what they called a good reader, because they called on you. Okay, you take a turn, you read, you take a turn and you read, and you read aloud in front of a classroom, and you had such a different variety of levels of readers. Sometimes, like you said, your son, he could read, but comprehension. Or you had some kids who knew the words, but they just weren't good readers. They weren't trained to be a reader that way, to read aloud.
Mhm.
But now the biggest thing now is modeling. And that's helping a lot of kids open up into reading because the teacher does the reading. The teacher will read a book to the class and she will put the emphasis in the words, and then she will have the if it's a question, then she knows how to bring her voice up at the end. She models
The
how it
inflections.
should be. Yes, couldn't think of the word. She models that for the kids, and then that makes them want to read the book. What book is that you read? Because she'll say, okay, now you go off and you find a book and you read it on your own. What book is that you read? They want to read that book because that book sounded like fun.
Yeah.
And so when they read, they will copy that. Oh, that's how I read. Oh, when it's an exclamation, then I say it like what instead of what or what. You know what I mean? Now
It
they
means
know
something different.
it means something different. So they're trying to get away from the fact where they put all that attention on that child about, oh, you read aloud and all the kids laugh, because that's where I came from.
Yeah.
What
Okay, we're gonna take turns. I hated that.
I hated it too.
I was a slow reader.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't one of those eloquent like I am now. I can, read a children's book. Okay, let me read over this so when I get ready to read it, I'll know what I'm talking about. And
Right.
I'll know where to put the inflections, where to
Right.
put, but if you call on me to read and I don't know what I'm reading, I'm like, okay, I'll get to the end of the sentence. Oh, question mark. Huh?
Yeah. Right. It's like,
At the last minute, you try to put that voice in the
I go
question
to
mark
the
mode.
bathroom. Wait,
So,
no. Can I go to the bathroom? No,
yes.
I didn't have time.
It's like,
Yeah.
let me get in question. Oh, that was an exclamation. I meant that. Yeah. So, yeah,
But
it takes
yeah.
it takes time to learn how to read.
Mm-hmm.
But if you start early with books,
Right.
going to story time, although right now we can't, but I used to love going to story time. Story
Anyway.
time today is different than story time was way back when,
Uh,
uh, because you just go and you read stories and then that's it.
mm-mm.
Story time now is okay. We come in, let's get our wiggle jiggles out. Okay, we're gonna shake. I'm like, okay, we're gonna shake our sillies out. Come on, let's shake these sillies out. And the kids get all excited and they sit down. Oh, what do you think's gonna happen next? And
I
all
will
the
do
kids are
that.
responding and they turn the page. Let's see. And they turn the page. Some story time readers, I'm like, yes, I love them. I love them. And some of them are like, really? Seriously?
Do you
Uh,
like books?
they just threw you over here because the regular person not here, right?
And here in DC, well, you probably noticed when you were here. Here in DC, they'll have book that, well, not anymore because of COVID, but they would have book story time at the zoo, story time at the museum.
Mhm.
You could go, and all the nannies knew. It wasn't really open to general public. General public people didn't really know, but all the nannies knew when they had those
Of
very.
course we did.
Because usually it was all nannies, and then they would have a cutoff point, especially the one at the zoo. The one at the zoo was like really exclusive.
Mhm.
But those kinds of things, like bringing the world to the book, bringing their outsides, connecting everything to the book, is what
Mhm.
makes them interested in the reading. Without that, it's just words on a page, and that's boring. That's bread with mayonnaise. Don't nobody want. Some people do might just want a piece of bread with mayonnaise, but I want a lettuce and tomato and a piece of cheese and mayonnaise.
Honey. Oh, geez, on there. Okay.
I might want you to put it on a pan, make it warm it up.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah, some sauteed onions up in there.
there we
Mhm.
go.
Some
Make
dill pickles.
that's
Girl,
what you need.
do the deal. Do the deal. Come on. Don't short me on my deal. Do it. So reading also
Mm-hmm.
takes the imagination to places that they have never been,
Well,
across the world, to a different culture, to a different type of religion, to a
mm-hmm.
different. I remember when I was taught in preschool, we would start at Thanksgiving doing holidays around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we would celebrate the Hanukkah and the Ramadan and the whatever else came in between there. And I would find books and we did the dance of lights and we lit the Christmas tree and we did the menorah and we did um what is those cookies called? It's a. If I wasn't trying to think of it, I could.
No, it would come right out. You'd be like, why am I thinking of this word? I don't
But
even.
and then we would have a big feast.
Mm-hmm.
It was a feast of everything, and everyone would bring something from their culture. Because I work for the Department of Justice in their daycare center, uh,
Oh,
New York Avenue. That's where it was, down
yeah.
in New York. So all these the Department of Justice, and all these cultures would come together, whether it was religious or and even the teachers there were from different countries.
Okay.
So all of us came together, and the parents would come because the parents work right upstairs, but
Yeah.
they would come and they would bring uh, foods from their culture. Now,
Mm-hmm.
the only restriction we had was no nuts.
Yeah. This is a nut-free world right now, and you
Yeah.
can't.
So, but Angela loves some peanut butter though.
I love.
But they couldn't bring nuts, but we had all these different cultural meals, and they tried to the spicy dishes. They had an adult version and
Yeah.
a kids version
But this, you
because
open it up through books. Books will open it up,
yes,
and they'll be like, "What is that? What? Oh, you want to know what this is? That we're reading about? We're gonna taste
mhm,
it." You know what I mean? They
yeah,
just open up your world to so many things. One of the biggest things I love about reading too, versus, I mean, screen time it's very hard to avoid it. The kids have to
right.
have screen time right now, but what we see happening as a trend is that um, children and adults have less and less patience, less and less patience because TV is quick. It's that instant gratification. Everything is right there for you. The character is there,
Mhm,
the setting is there, everything is there. But reading promotes patience because the story unfolds slowly.
right.
So if you're sitting and listening to the story and Jack is coming into the room, now you don't see everything within a second. Jack comes into the room and then 3 pages later, oh no, what happened? Oh my goodness, Jack, he lost his puppy. Now he doesn't know what his puppy is, but you don't know that for 2 or 3 pages. So the
Because they have to
child,
describe the room and what the room looked like. And over on this corner, they had his favorite leash, and it's purple and had little doggies on the chain and all. They describe it. It's like opening a book and saying, "Wait for it."
exactly, it's coming. It's coming. But the child sits and learns to wait for that to happen slowly versus having it happen to them. Just seeing everything going on through the screen. Now, TV does have its place, and it is necessary. And of course, we all use it in our teaching of the kids all the time. But that's one of the things that I appreciate with reading. Will get with that children get from reading is that they learn patience, and it's something that you want them to do as they get older. A lot of teenagers, they're in their room just listening to music.
And on their
How much
phone.
more, or on their phone? How much would you rather than being in there and reading a book
Hmm.
versus those things? What benefit are they gaining by? Because you don't get better at watching TV. I mean, it's not something that you get better at. The first time you do it, you're a pro. Turn it on, sit there and watch it. No, but the
Oh,
more you read, the better you get at reading. The
yes,
better you become at comprehension, the more open your mind is to other experience and to other places and to how to bring a story together. Reading then can draw them to a writer.
yes.
So
Open your
there's just so
creativity.
open your creativity, your imagination, all of that. You have things to talk about in a setting. A lot of times people get together now have many things to talk about because they just, unless it's a TV show, we just
Yeah.
binge watch this.
Yeah.
Exactly. But having that skill, I read inappropriate books. I will admit that, but I was little because that's what I did. I was the only girl, and I was the only girl and the youngest of four. So I had three my brothers were 12, 10, and 7 years older than me.
Wow.
So they didn't know anything. They were like, "What?" So I read at a very early age because I like to be by myself. So my mom started me off at like 4 or 5 years old. I was reading the Ramona book series. And so by the time I love those books. I try to read those to Olive now, to the child that I have now, and I was like, oh, you're not gonna like this. This I love those books, but just the theme they're way too slow for her. And then by the time I was in middle school, I would say sixth grade, I was reading V.C. Andrews. I had a little book club. We were reading Flowers in the Attic. Those are the most inappropriate books for children. And let me tell you, we
I
read
love
Petals.
Flowers in the Attic, and then I read all the series.
We read the whole thing. But because we were reading, our parents and our teachers were like buying us these books because we would just switch them in between each other. Everybody had them. And we were in sixth grade reading those books. But at that time, they just did not make, when kids, if you were just a reader, by sixth grade, everything else, I had read everything. The adult readers at that time were beat. I was like, this is for kids. This is kid stuff.
Mitch says, I have taught classes where you use visual props with stories that keep kids engaged and explore more on the character by picking up the props after the story and act out the stories or create their own. Yes, I love that. I love that. And puppet shows. I've used puppets with for characters too, as read a book. And it was so much fun. And then the kids, I would open up the little puppet, have the little puppet thing. What is it called? The little puppet stage.
Oh
and
yeah,
leave the puppets there, and the kids would come grab the puppets, and the dog says this and this and this, and the cat says this and this, and they got their puppet. You're not supposed to say that with that. So they get to arguing about what character you're supposed to say.
They're engaged, and
they are engaged, and they're all off. That's not what he said in the story. No, you're wrong. And I was like, okay. And I'm just listening to them engage with each other and knowing what they learned from the book.
Yes.
So that's how you know when they are paying attention, when they can act it out. And you know what the story means to you. But when you listen to it coming from them and their perspective on the story, you're like, well, I didn't see that.
And I love that. I love that kids can give you that. They can help you see a whole different side. And I love that suggestion that your follower just said, that what she does with the kids. When I read a book, because the child that I work with, sometimes she gets antsy. She wants to hear a story, but she just can't help it. And so she's all over the place. And so I said, okay, I'm going to read. You're going to act it out. And you're all the characters. And by the time we finish that book, she's exhausted. And that's what I want. Because she is running around. She's climbing up the fence. She's opening up the door. I said, everything that they do in the story, I need you to do. I need you to act this out for me. But she loves that, though. She loves that. She doesn't feel like she's disrupting her story time, because, you tell a child to sit, listen, I'm reading. Story time is going to be so unfun.
No, it's
but
not.
Hey, I see you want to hear the story, but you're not able to sit at this time like I'm able to sit. That's okay. Act the story out while we're doing it. And she does it, and it's great. So that is great. Getting them physically involved in a story. It's because reading doesn't have to be how we thought about it in the past, where we're just sitting and we're reading a book and they have to sit and listen quietly. Sometimes some books call for them to be able to be involved, like you said, where they have the puppets. And they're able to talk about it with each other, finish the story, or add on to the story, make a sequel to the story on their own. But yeah,
read books and create characters. Like we read The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and then we took the paper plate, and then the little paper saucers to make his body, and then we went through. It was like it became a whole week of. We made the seed. Then we made the little caterpillar. Then the next day we made a bigger caterpillar. Then we made, and then we got to the cocoon, and then we got to the butterfly. So it was a whole week, a week to a week and a half of creating these things. And then we created an art gallery in the playroom. So every so often we would change everything out. and we put up the caterpillar. And I think that was the one that stayed the longest time because we had so many different caterpillars just come and we saw how the caterpillar grew on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and till we got to Sunday. And it created it was like the whole wall was caterpillar.
Oh, I love it.
And I got creative. I went to the store and got some the little letters. The teacher store got the little letters that you can
Yes.
just. I took that little putty and I put it on the and I put up there the very hungry caterpillar. I spelled it out. Oh, Angela, that's so pretty. What does it say?
I know. What's
I said it says. I said, look at your book and look at that. What does it say? The very hungry caterpillar. Yes, that's what it says. So that's them matching the words to what they see on their book.
right?
It's reading.
It's reading.
They read the very hungry caterpillar because they know it in the book. And that's another thing when reading, don't just let it be one type.
Yeah.
Get all kinds of different fonts to teach your child. This is A, that's
You
A,
recognize it.
that's
Yeah.
A, this is A, that's A. Oh, where's another A? Oh, there's one over there. Oh, here's one over here. And when you go out to the park, when you go ride in the car, find an A. Find all the A's that you can find.
We love that.
Because it kind of opens up their mind that it's exposure. There's not just one way to do things.
Mhm.
There's A's that are fancy. There's A's that are blocked. There's A's that are cursive. There's
Yeah.
A's that are is the possibilities are endless.
And I love that. And another thing that I love about reading is that it's not based on your social economic level. Free libraries. Go get a book. Go get books. Go get as many books as they'll let you take out, and just read them. Just read them. When they open up, go for story times. Let someone else read. Search for people on YouTube, like Ask the Nanny. Search for where somebody's reading a book, because a lot of parents they feel it's like I'm not like a reader like that. Like I have a silly voice. Find somebody that is, and sit with them. Don't let them just sit with them.
Yeah, don't let them just sit on YouTube because the next video,
You don't know.
because it's on your video, it's on your video list. The next video could be something you don't want your child to see.
And I come from a family. My family's all from the South, and of course they're all Black. And my grandfather, who's still alive, is 106. He was not allowed to go to school past third grade.
Wow.
He was a sharecropper. His family's sharecropper. He was a sharecropper, so he wasn't allowed to read past third grade. He learned how to read because he wanted to learn how to read the Bible. So that was his text. That's one of the hardest things. And that's my paternal. Then my maternal, my mom's side, her mother, she wasn't allowed to go to school past ninth grade. And she read everything she could get her hands on because it was such a precious thing. So that's one of the biggest reasons in all communities reading should be pushed. It should be something appreciated because it's something that can just open up a mind. And even though you might not be able to go past where you are, books can take you anywhere you want to go. With Reading Rainbow, we heard that back with that song.
Oh, the Reading Rainbow.
So I can go twice as high as a butterfly in the sky.
Yes. I love that. I used to watch the Reading Rainbow all the time. Electric Company and Reading Rainbow. Oh my goodness. Okay, see, I am dating myself. Captain Kangaroo used to read too. Y'all probably don't know about some of these. Some of y'all don't know about what I'm talking about.
Go find them. Go find them. Reading Rainbow, I think, is having a resurgence, but Reading Rainbow is one of the best, I think, even more than Sesame Street. Great Reading Rainbow. Is that the one they would say, I'm just a bill, just a lonely.
Yes, and conjunction, junction. What's your function? I love that. Y'all go find Schoolhouse Rock. It's probably either on Netflix or
It has to be.
or YouTube. It's somewhere out there. I promise you.
Yeah, they don't be.
Schoolhouse Rock. That's
There.
what it's called. And they have all these. Oh, Linda says Mitch said LeVar Burton. Yes, LeVar Burton
Right.
show. And Linda says, I remember Captain Kangaroo. Yes, I love Captain Kangaroo. And I still sing that song. Now I know my name is Simon, and the things I draw come true.
Oh, Simon and the
Pictures take me, climb me over the garden with a view. I love that song. I love it.
those
And
were
then
great.
I was so excited because I knew they were getting ready to read a new book. So
Great.
find those things. Captain Kangaroo, um, I almost said Conjunction Johnson, Schoolhouse Rock, Captain Kangaroo, Reading Rainbow, and Zoom. Zoom was my thing when I got to be like 11, 12 years old. Do you remember Zoom?
Mm-mm.
Come on and zoom, 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 zoom. It was on. It was right after the Electric Company came on.
Oh, the
Uh,
electric company. Morgan
yeah,
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman was in Electric Company
I
with that
remember.
magical mirror. Yes.
Oh, that's right. And and I see you too. I see, same way. I see, and I. Oh my God, I'm thinking of
And the Romper Room.
Romper Room. Yes, I was going to say I'm thinking of Romper Room with the camera, with the mirror, and I see Angela, and I see Gina, and I see you too. Those I'm about to go back for those for myself.
Yes. So if your kids have never seen those, the classics, oh my gosh. Those were must watches in my household because both my parents were teachers. You must watch this. You know, Captain Kangaroo. Oh Lord.
We didn't. My mother
Yeah,
didn't reading,
yeah.
and yeah,
She
both my
said,
parents
I
both did
see,
that.
and I see you too.
I see, and I see you too. That's right. Go ahead,
Yes, Linda, you telling off your age too. Yeah, you right there with us.
No, we watched the reruns, Linda. We watched the reruns. We saw the I know, Linda. We saw the reruns. We didn't see when it was new.
You can watch it live and in color. You had the lyrics.
How come you remember so vividly then if you only saw the reruns, Gina?
Yes.
It's been so enjoyable. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hold on. Linda's laughing.
She's laughing. That's right, because she saw the reruns. Linda, we saw the reruns.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight and talking about literacy. This is one of my passions, and it's just if your children have never seen New Zoo Review, Henrietta Hippo and Freddie the Frog.
No.
Henrietta Hippo. I don't remember Henrietta.
I'm trying to think Henrietta Hippo. I know it.
New Zoo Review. I think I remember New Zoo Review.
I don't know.
Now, she Googling it now. She Googling, what is New Zoo Review?
I'm trying to get, it came right up. Oh, I don't remember this one. Oh, this is cute though with the puppets. I'm gonna have to get into that one. Yes, look at Henrietta Hippo. Look at her. Oh wait, I forget this is.
Yeah, that's I remember that. I remember that. Now that I remember that. Yes.
I have to check out the show, and it'll probably spark a memory for me.
She said, "Yes, it's the New Zoo Review coming right at you." Yes, Linda. I remember that. Oh my gosh, this brings back so many childhood memories for me. Yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Please follow Glenda. She is Nanny by Nature, and she is on Instagram, mostly on Instagram, probably 99% on Instagram.
99%, yes.
Yeah. So she's 99% on Instagram. If you didn't catch that, that was sign language. I was like, oh, look at her get all fancy. You're welcome, Mitch. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank
This is the best
you.
time.
And please, please read to your children. Again, don't ignore the little signs that something may be wrong with your child. Um, I'm so glad that I stayed on top of my child's learning. And Linda said, and I learned the ASL alphabet on PBS when I was sick, age 9. Yes.
Learn ASL on PBS.
That's right. That's where I learned how to PBS is where I learned how to sing my numbers in Spanish. It was so much learning going on, and I was just like, yes, yes, yes. And so, yeah, I'm dating myself, but yeah,
No,
read to your children.
age is a
There's
number.
so many benefits, um, and find books. I know screen time is limited, but when you get screen time, find a book. There are
Get
plenty
them.
of, even if you don't read mine, find a book. They're out there on YouTube. So
Mhm.
many books and
So many
people reading books, and
actors.
it's so entertaining. And open up your child's mind, just and it just relaxes. I like listening to audiobooks because
Yeah.
when I don't want to think about nothing. I don't want to think about work. I don't think about bills. I want to think about husband, marriage stuff. I just want to be free. I go and I grab a book, put my earplugs in, and I'll sit in the bed or as I'm washing dishes. It's a good thing to just keep my mind occupied because I hate washing dishes. So I will wash dishes and listen to a story. I
It's
clean up while I'm listening, and before I know it, I have cleaned the whole house, and I'm listening to the story.
still
I am
telling the story.
entertained.
I
Yes.
love it. And you learn new words, you learn new ways to say things. We never stop learning. Books help you to
Mhm.
continue to learn.
And the books, if you read, it depends on the type of books you read. When you're listening to books, you find out information because books bring in, it's like art imitating life,
100.
and you learn facts.
Yep.
I can't tell you how many facts I have learned. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And then
So
I go look it up. Let me make sure they got that right. I go look it up. Oh, they were right. Okay.
we have
So
so much
you
information
learn so many different facts just from reading
for sure.
things that you didn't know.
Read more, read more.
Yes, yes, yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much.
Thank you so much for coming on and for talking with me about one of my passions.
Yeah.
And I will be reading some more books. I got 4 books lined up to read tomorrow evening.
Right.
I can post them. So, because I know spring break is coming, these babies gonna need some new books to read.
Reading. Don't
Yeah,
forget this will be our sign that remember. This is the I love you sign.
that's
I'm
right.
signing off.
Yeah, and if you want to fly,
There's an airplane too.
it's like, and if you want to
Airplane
fly.
too. You put it up this way, that just means I love you, my friend.
And sign language is all about direction. That was
Mhm.
the first thing I learned was directional. Sign language is directional.
Be
If
very
you're
different.
going this way or if you're going that way, that's 2 different things.
Very different.
Airplane and I love
Oh,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I
All right.
appreciate you.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have Angelina Marie and Toya Windsor, and they are going to be cooking up some stuff in the kitchen about nutrition, about child nutrition. Um, Angelina has From Bottles to Table. That's the name of her company. And Toya's company's name is Sweet Peace Family. So they are nannies, they are postpartum doulas, they are nutrition, they talk about nutrition. Oh my gosh, they got so much stuff. Lactation, all that stuff. These are some multi certified women.
Mm,
Uh, so
talented.
come back, learn next week about childhood nutrition, how to get your child to eat almost anything.
Mm.
Mhm. So we will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Y'all have a great week.
Ah.